Have you ever noticed that some of the smartest people in the room seem to make others a little uneasy, even when they're not trying to stand out? It's a quiet pattern that pops up more often than you might think. These individuals aren't aiming for the spotlight or trying to stir things up, yet their presence can still create a ripple of discomfort. Let's take a closer look at why intelligence sometimes has this surprising effect on those around us. Sometimes seeing the world with perfect clarity is a bit like turning on a bright light in a dim room. Suddenly, all the hidden corners are revealed. While this honesty can be refreshing, it often brings to light truths that others might prefer to keep fuzzy or out of focus. This can make people uncomfortable, not because the facts have changed, but because the comfortable blur is gone. Our stickman friend might find that being clear-eyed isn't always the easiest path, but it sure does make things interesting. While intelligence is often celebrated as a special gift, it doesn't always guarantee social success. In fact, being noticeably smart can sometimes make others feel uneasy or even competitive. Instead of admiration, intelligent people might encounter subtle resistance or exclusion from their peers. This unexpected twist can make social situations a bit more challenging for those who stand out academically. So, being clever isn't always the shortcut to popularity that many imagine. Resistance to intelligence can take many forms, and it often begins surprisingly early. Sometimes, people respond with exclusion, leaving someone out of the group simply because they seem too clever. Other times, there's outright dismissal, where ideas are brushed aside without consideration. And then there's the chilly art of cold politeness, a smile that says, "I heard you, but not much more." These reactions can shape how intelligence is expressed and received throughout life. In many classrooms, students who ask deeper or more challenging questions often find themselves standing out. Sometimes, their curiosity is met with raised eyebrows or even the label of being difficult. This reaction can make intelligent students feel out of place even at a young age. It's a reminder that social dynamics in school can sometimes discourage the very curiosity that leads to learning. Navigating these early experiences can shape how students express their intelligence in the future. In many workplaces, employees who point out structural flaws can quickly earn a reputation for being negative. Instead of being recognized for their keen observation and problem-solving skills, their feedback is sometimes dismissed or misunderstood. This can discourage open communication and make it harder for organizations to improve. After all, spotting a crack in the foundation is much better than pretending everything is perfectly stable. Sometimes, when you spot little inconsistencies in your friendships, people might say you're just overthinking things. It's like noticing your friend's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, or their texts sound a bit different lately. Even though these observations are subtle, they can make you wonder if something's changed. But being attentive doesn't mean you're imagining problems. It just shows you care about your connections. In human groups, stability often depends on everyone moving to the same beat, guided by shared assumptions and routines. It's a bit like a group of stick figures all marching in step, simple, predictable, and harmonious. But when intelligence enters the scene, it starts asking questions and noticing things others might miss. This can shake up the group's rhythm, making things a little less predictable, but sometimes a lot more interesting. After all, even stick men need a little excitement now and then. Sometimes, a stick man who thinks a bit faster or spots patterns before others can shake things up without even realizing it. While everyone else is connecting the dots, our speedy thinker has already drawn the whole picture. This can make the group feel a little off balance, as some stick figures scramble to catch up. It's not always obvious, but these quick mental leaps can quietly nudge the group's rhythm in unexpected ways. Even in a simple stickman world, brains move at different speeds, and that can stir things up more than you'd think. Intelligent people have a knack for spotting hidden motives, contradictions, and the subtle power plays happening around them. This sharp awareness can sometimes make others feel like they're under a magnifying glass, their secrets and intentions laid bare. As a result, conversations may become a bit tense, with everyone choosing their words more carefully. It's as if the room fills with invisible arrows of scrutiny, making even the simplest interactions feel charged. When we become more aware of ourselves and our surroundings, it can actually make social situations feel a bit trickier. Suddenly, every gesture or word seems to stand out, and that clarity can feel a little intimidating. It's almost as if the more we notice, the less relaxed we become. This is a common experience, and it happens because our brains are trying to protect us from making mistakes. So, while awareness is helpful, it sometimes comes at the cost of feeling completely at ease with others. Sometimes, intelligence can shake up the social ladder without anyone even noticing at first. In groups, there's often an unspoken ranking system, like who's in charge or who gets listened to the most. When someone quietly brings clever ideas or solves tricky problems, it can unsettle the usual order. This can make things a bit awkward, as others might feel their spot in the hierarchy is at risk. It's a reminder that brains can be just as powerful as brawn when it comes to group dynamics. When someone suddenly gets really good at analyzing situations and making spot-on predictions, it can shake things up. People around them might start comparing themselves, wondering if they measure up. This shift in competence acts like gravity, pulling attention and sometimes even stirring a bit of discomfort. It's as if everyone's trying to balance on a seesaw that just tipped a little more to one side. Sometimes, when someone stands out for being especially clever, groups might react in unexpected ways. Instead of celebrating their smarts, people may gently push them aside, calling them intense or even a bit arrogant. This isn't always mean-spirited. It's often a way for the group to feel more balanced and less threatened. Our stickman friends might find themselves on the edge of the crowd just for being a little too sharp. It's a funny quirk of group dynamics, where fitting in can sometimes mean toning things down. Sometimes, when we meet someone who seems to know a lot, it's tempting to slap on a quick label, like calling them arrogant. It's a handy shortcut that saves us from admitting we might feel a bit out of our depth. These social labels act like equalizers, helping us balance things out in our minds. Instead of wrestling with our own insecurities, we just point a finger and move on. It's a simple trick, but it doesn't always tell the whole story. Have you ever noticed when conversations start to feel a little different? Intelligent individuals are quick to pick up on these subtle changes. Maybe the jokes don't include them anymore, or the excitement for their ideas seems to fade. These small signals can reveal a lot about how relationships are shifting. It's almost like being a detective, but with fewer magnifying glasses and more raised eyebrows. Sometimes, always being right isn't the ticket to popularity. In many situations, people value feeling included more than hearing the correct answer every time. If someone insists on correcting others, it can make them seem less approachable, like a stick figure who always points out the smallest mistakes. Belonging often means going with the flow, even if it means letting a few harmless errors slide. After all, nobody wants to be left out just for knowing all the answers. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to zip through ideas at lightning speed? For intelligent folks, thoughts can race ahead, making it tricky for others to keep up in conversation. This rapid pace can sometimes throw off the balance, leaving one person lost while the other is already 3 topics ahead. It's a bit like trying to dance when your partner keeps changing the song. Finding harmony means learning to match steps, even if your mind is ready to sprint. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to think at lightning speed, while others prefer to take their time? This difference in cognitive tempo can lead to what we call tempo friction. When one person races ahead and another moves more slowly, it's easy for misunderstandings to pop up. These mismatched speeds can create emotional distance, making conversations feel awkward or even frustrating. Recognizing these differences helps everyone stay on the same page, and maybe even share a laugh about it. Sometimes, intelligent people choose to step back from conversations or group activities, simply to avoid unnecessary frustration. This withdrawal can easily be misunderstood by others. Instead of seeing it as a way to keep the peace, some might think the person feels superior or aloof. In reality, it's often just a strategy to stay calm and avoid conflict. So, next time you see someone quietly bowing out, remember, it might not be about pride, but about patience. Sometimes, when a stickman stands quietly in a room, others might assume he's judging them. In reality, he's just taking a moment to process what's happening around him. Silence doesn't always mean disapproval. It can simply be a pause for thought. So next time you see a stickman with a thoughtful expression, remember, he might just be thinking, not judging. When we feel like we're being judged, it's natural to put our guard up. This defensiveness can make conversations a bit more prickly, and sometimes it even changes how we relate to others. Over time, these reactions can reshape our friendships and connections, sometimes making them stronger, but often creating distance. It's a reminder that how we perceive feedback can have a big impact on our social lives. Imagine walking into a room where someone seems to notice every little detail. Nothing escapes their watchful eyes. Highly perceptive people have a knack for picking up on subtle cues, which can sometimes make those around them feel a bit uneasy. Their constant observation creates an atmosphere where everyone feels just a little more exposed. It's as if their awareness turns up the brightness on everything, making even the smallest actions stand out. While this heightened perception can be impressive, it often leaves others wondering if they're being quietly analyzed. Sometimes, when everyone in a group believes the same thing, it can feel like there's an invisible rulebook no one's allowed to question. But intelligent individuals often poke at these shared fictions, asking, "Wait, does this actually make sense?" This curiosity can ruffle a few feathers, especially when it means challenging what's always been accepted. It's a bit like being the stick man who points out that the emperor isn't wearing any clothes, awkward, but important. Independent thinkers sometimes get a reputation for being a bit tricky to work with. In both offices and family gatherings, they might be called difficult or accused of not being team players. But really, they're just following their own line of thought, which doesn't always match the crowd. It's not about causing trouble. It's about seeing things from a different angle. Sometimes, a fresh perspective just stands out more than it blends in. Sometimes, being honest isn't the easiest path. Intelligent people often face a tricky choice. Should they speak their truth or blend in for the sake of social comfort? Valuing authenticity can mean standing out, and that's not always welcomed by everyone. This is what's called the social tax of authenticity, where being genuine might cost you acceptance. It's a balancing act between staying true to yourself and fitting in with the crowd. Sometimes, even the brightest minds choose to dim their clarity, hoping to blend in and avoid stirring up trouble. It's a bit like a stick man trying to hide behind a skinny tree. He might not stand out as much, but you can still spot him if you look closely. Even when people try to soften their ideas, their unique perspectives and differences have a way of shining through. In the end, true individuality is hard to hide, no matter how much we try to blend into the background. When someone thinks or behaves differently, it can reveal cracks in the way our social systems are built. These differences often highlight rules or expectations that we usually take for granted. As a result, people might feel uncomfortable or uncertain, realizing that what seems stable isn't as solid as they thought. It's a bit like noticing a wobbly chair only when someone sits down in a new way. Highly intelligent people often find it challenging to engage in small talk or surface-level conversations. They naturally crave discussions that are rich in complexity and depth, where ideas can be explored and questioned. Simple exchanges may leave them feeling unsatisfied or disconnected. For them, meaningful interaction is like a puzzle waiting to be solved, and they thrive when they can dive beneath the surface. Sometimes, when we ask deep or probing questions, it can spark lively conversations and help us connect with others on a new level. But not everyone enjoys diving into the depths. Some people might find these questions a bit too personal or even uncomfortable. This difference in comfort levels can lead to misunderstandings, or even make someone feel left out. It's a bit like being a stick figure with a magnifying glass, curious, but not always welcome at every stickman gathering. Finding the right balance is key to keeping everyone in the conversation happy. Over time, intelligent individuals may find themselves gradually excluded from casual gatherings or informal conversations. As people often seek out comfort and familiarity, they tend to cluster together, sometimes leaving those who think differently on the sidelines. This subtle shift can lead to a sense of isolation, even if it's not intentional. It's a bit like being the only stick figure at a dance party who knows all the steps but nobody wants to follow your lead. As time goes by, intelligent people might start to notice a pattern. Their connections with others often feel conditional. They may find themselves wondering why genuine bonds seem just out of reach. Reflecting on their experiences, they realize that these feelings often trace back to being different in some way. It's as if their uniqueness sets invisible boundaries, making it harder to feel fully accepted. This realization can spark both curiosity and a bit of frustration. When we spot patterns and make predictions about what might happen next, it can give some people an unexpected advantage. This ability to anticipate outcomes often leads to a quiet shift in how things are balanced socially. Suddenly, those who can read the signs are a step ahead, while others might find themselves left behind. It's a bit like a stick man who knows where the banana peel is. He sidesteps it, while his friend slips by surprise. When we sharpen our perception, we might notice every little detail about someone's behavior or mood. While this can be impressive, it sometimes makes others feel like they're under a microscope rather than simply being with a friend. Instead of feeling connected, they may become self-conscious or uneasy. It's a bit like being watched by a stick man with very big eyes. Interesting, but maybe not so comfortable. Sometimes, people put on a show to keep things running smoothly. Even if no one says a word, just noticing this pretense can make the atmosphere feel a little awkward. It's like spotting a stick man trying to balance a wobbly stack of boxes. Everyone pretends it's fine, but you can't help but notice the wobble. Harmony relies on everyone playing along, but seeing through the act quietly shifts the mood for everyone involved. Sometimes, the smartest stick figure in the room isn't the one waving their arms around. In fact, intelligent individuals might actually downplay their own abilities, quietly blending into the background. But when they suddenly step up and assert their competence, it can catch the whole group off guard. This unexpected move can unsettle the usual group dynamics, leaving everyone to rethink who's really calling the shots. It's a classic case of the confidence paradox, where modesty meets a surprise twist. When we meet someone who seems highly intelligent, our brains can struggle to put them into a neat category. This unpredictability makes it harder for us to know what to expect, which can be a little uncomfortable. Our minds like things to be simple and organized, but intelligent people often break the mold. As a result, we might find ourselves working harder to figure them out, leading to a bit of mental gymnastics. Intelligent people often find themselves in a curious position. While their abilities are admired from afar, they can sometimes face resistance when it comes to social acceptance. Their competence earns respect, but it may also create a barrier to close relationships. It's as if people appreciate their skills, but hesitate to invite them into the inner circle. This duality can make social situations both flattering and a little lonely. In group psychology, fitting in often matters more than standing out. Belonging is usually granted to those who are most compatible with the group, rather than those who are the most skilled or talented. This means that sharing similar values, interests, or even a sense of humor can be more important than raw ability. So, sometimes it's not about being the best, but about being the best match for the group. Compatibility can open more doors than capability alone. Context plays a big role in how intelligence is received. In places where new ideas are celebrated, being clever can draw others in like a magnet. But in settings where people prefer things to stay the same, intelligence might shake things up and make some folks uneasy. It's all about matching the right qualities to the right environment. Even a stick man knows when to blend in and when to stand out. Sometimes, a group faces a choice between truth and harmony. If the group values clarity and honesty, speaking up and sharing facts is encouraged, even if it ruffles a few feathers. But if harmony is the top priority, people might hold back their true thoughts to keep the peace. The group's reaction to clear communication depends on what it treasures most: open truth or smooth relationships. It's a balancing act, and every group draws the line a little differently. Sometimes, being left out of a group can feel like a personal failure. But often it's not about you at all. It's about the group's own priorities and needs. When we understand this, it becomes easier to see that rejection isn't necessarily a sign of dislike. Instead, it's just a reflection of where the group is focused at the moment. This shift in perspective can help ease tension and make things feel a little less personal. Rejection can often feel personal, but sometimes it's just a matter of differences or misalignment. Imagine two stick figures trying to fit puzzle pieces together that simply don't match. No one is at fault. The pieces just aren't compatible. In some cases, rejection happens because someone perceives a threat or feels uncomfortable, not because of any flaw in you. Understanding this can help us take things less personally and see rejection as part of life's quirky dance, rather than a reflection of our worth. Intelligence doesn't just affect individual performance, it also transforms the way groups interact. In any team, the smartest ideas might not always win. Instead, the group's comfort level plays a big role in shaping decisions. Sometimes, even the brightest stickman might hold back if the group isn't ready for a new idea. Social dynamics like trust and openness can be just as important as raw brain power. So, intelligence and group harmony work together, creating a unique balance in every situation. Quiet power isn't about making the loudest noise in the room. It's about noticing the little things that others might miss. When you're perceptive, you can sense shifts in mood, spot unspoken needs, and respond thoughtfully. This subtle influence can actually change how people interact with you. Even without saying much, your presence and awareness can encourage others to open up, or sometimes, to be a little more careful around you. It's a reminder that power doesn't always have to shout to be heard. In the end, being intelligent doesn't automatically mean you'll climb the social ladder. Instead, it often shifts how people interact with you, sometimes creating awkward moments or even discomfort among others. Intelligence can spark curiosity, but it can also lead to misunderstandings. So, while a clever mind is valuable, it doesn't always open every door. Sometimes, it just makes the room a bit more interesting or a little more complicated, or